So we're following the main pump lines up from pump house A up to the sugar house, and it's going to be noisy up here. The pumps for the reverse osmosis machine are running. See all of the lines that we have strung all through. So these tanks on the left are holding the sap. And as you can see, they are full. This first tank is about 5,000 gallons. And it's collecting sap from pump house A, where we just were, and also from pump house B, which is down at the old number 138 sugar shack. Oh, okay, this is actually the big, this is the 5,000 gallon sap tank. That one over there is about 2,800. So we are full. The sap's been running for a couple days. We have not had any cold nights, and so today is the first time we're going to boil in 2 days. It is forecast to get well below freezing, into the 28 degrees or so at night for the next week, and we will have warm days. So we are going to be cooking more syrup. So the sap gets pumped from the pump houses up to these tanks, and then from these tanks it runs into this reverse osmosis machine. And these are the RO membrane tanks. So what the reverse osmosis does is it separates the pure water from everything else, and in our case it's going to be the minerals and the sugar. So the sap comes in, our sap is coming in right now at roughly 2% sugar, and this RO machine will concentrate that up to about 18%. We've got more storage tanks around. I'll bring you in and show you the vacuum pump. This is our fuel oil tank. The evaporator, the boiler, runs on fuel oil. And here's our vacuum pump. You'll notice it's fairly quiet. This is an oil-cooled vacuum pump. This is the cooler. There's the motor. That's the actual pump itself. And it's got a water separator there in case any sap makes it through the receivers. And right now we're running 26.5, a little bit more than 26.5, almost 27 inches of vacuum. So that's looking good. And here we are in the sugar house. Chris Chabla, the head sugar maker, is getting everything ready. And so the concentrate, which is the concentrated sap from the reverse osmosis machine, gets pumped upstairs to this holding tank. So this fluid coming out of this green pipe is coming from the reverse osmosis machine. And it's running roughly 18% sugar content. So from here, excuse me, from here it's just a gravity fed. Through this pipe, and it runs into a series of pipes over the first pan of the evaporator, and that is to preheat the sap. The actual sap ultimately runs into this first pan, and it's close to boiling. We're actually boiling away the water and leaving the sugars and the minerals. And so if you dumped cold sap into the boiling syrup, it would create problems. So we run it through this maze of pipes, which preheats the sap. And then ultimately, the pre-warmed sap comes over to this float, and this float valve controls the level of sap in the primary pan, and we can see that right here. We're running slightly over 2 inches. And this is actually has a probe in it that protects our pans. If the level ever gets below 1 inch, it will shut down the burner, and that is to prevent any burning of the very expensive special pans that we use. So you can see the network of pre-warming pipes there. And then ultimately the float lets in fresh sap depending on how much syrup we've drawn off, and that runs in that corner, and these pans are corrugated, and so the sap runs back and forth and runs all the way up to this pan, this section of the pan, and then from this section of the pan it comes out to this float valve. And this float valve controls the level of sweet water, almost syrup, into these finishing pans. Okay, so that float will open up, and the sweet water will flow into this pan and run back here, and then run through this pipe into this pan, through a cutout down there, through this pipe, into this pan, and so on. And ultimately gets drawn off over here. And this is our master control valve assembly. And then ultimately, as the syrup draws off into this container, we test it and we mix it, and then ultimately it goes through this filter press and into barrels. And in this case we have these are oak barrels from a local distillery, rum distillery, and we have 2 products. We have an estate grade syrup, which is just straight syrup, and then we have barrel aged syrup, which we age in these special distillery barrels, and that gives it a unique and distinct flavor. And then normally we would barrel the syrup in these plastic and stainless steel drums. The larger ones are roughly 40 gallons, and these smaller ones roughly 15 gallons. So there you have it. We're going to shoot a lot more video as we get going. Hope you're enjoying this tour of the scientific aspects of making syrup. Agent Tremper for Cary and Maine Maple Syrup Company and Wicked Cool Wellness. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.